name.
Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Amarillo City Commission. It's held on the third floor of City Hall each Tuesday. As most of you know, we usually meet at 3 p.m., but this commission has elected to meet the first Tuesday of every month at 5:30 in the hopes that folks that who can't come see us in the afternoon will come see us in the evening. So I'm so glad to see you here. Before I start, I do need to say that one of the reasons we are so casual today is that we took a great tour of the wastewater and water treatment plants with the City of Amarillo this afternoon. And it was very impressive and amazing to see the work that those folks do, not only in preparing our water for use, but also disposing of our water and really reusing the water that we've already used in such great ways. So that's why Commissioner Sims has no tie on. He wanted me to make sure and say that. The first item on the agenda is the minutes. In fact, we have 3 sets of minutes. We had 2 orientation sessions, one on June 27th and one on June 30th, and then our regularly scheduled meeting was Tuesday, June 28th. Have the commissioners looked over them, and do we have any additions, deletions, changes?
Mayor, I would move for approval of these 3 sets of minutes as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved 3-0. 4 do I get to vote?
Yes.
Okay, 4-0. And number 2 on the agenda is the resolution public hearing. This resolution conducts a public hearing on and approves the adoption of Amarillo Public Housing Agency's annual plan and administrative plan required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is recommended for approval by the Community Development Advisory Committee. Do I hear any comment from the audience? Do we have any comment from the audience? Any comment from the commissioners? Okay, do I have a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution public hearing number 2.
Second.
Matt, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes 4-0. And number 3, agenda item number 3 is the resolution approving the 2011 Edward Burney Memorial Justice Assistance Grant as a JAG application. This resolution approves the application for the 2011 JAG grant and the related interlocal agreement with Potter County. Under the terms of the grant, the City of Amarillo will apply for $149,027 and will allocate the grant proceeds on an equal basis with Potter County. The Amarillo Police Department will use the city's portion of the grant proceeds to purchase handheld ticket writers and fitness equipment. Do I have any comment from anyone in the audience? Any comment or questions from the commissioners? Okay, do I have a motion? Sorry.
And Mayor, I move that we approve the application for the Edward Burney Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes 4-0. And then we have some appointments. This agenda item number 4. These are boards and commissions. Appointments are needed for the following boards and commissions. The Colonies Public Improvement District, we have Tracy Byers and Joe Norman, who both terms have expired. Comprehensive Plan Implementation Advisory Committee, Maureen Roman Jordan resigned, and Greenways Public Improvement District Advisory Board, Boyd Johnston has also had a term that's expired. The Planning and Zoning Commission, it's a 3-year term. Brandon Neely's term has expired. And Point West Public Improvement District Advisory Board, we have Lloyd Roman, Dick Fawcett, and James Rutledge, whose terms have expired. Do we have any names to put forth?
Mayor, if I may nominate for the Colonies PID Advisory Board the reappointment of Tracy Byers and Joe Norman. For the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Advisory Committee, I would nominate Mr. Milford Burrell. For the Greenways PID Advisory Board, I would nominate for reappointment Boyd Johnston. For Planning and Zoning, I would nominate Ted Casey Webb to replace Brendan Neely. And for the Point West PED Advisory Board, I would renominate the three individuals, Lloyd Roman, Dick Fawcett, and James Rhodes for reappointment.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
That is a formal.
Form a motion. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion for the appointments on boards and commissions.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we have those passed. 4-0. We have the consent agenda. We have, it's recommended that the following items be approved and that the city manager be authorized to execute all documents necessary for each transaction. The A is the award Lawrence Lake Bank Stabilization Project. It's awarded to the low responsive bidder. And number B is award Carson County Wellfield Underground Electrical Service Installation Contract. C is the approval of the landfill compactor repair. And D is the approval of the agreement for supportive services. Are there any items in the consent agenda that the commission would like to separate for further consideration? Is that for consideration? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes 4-0. And before we go to the public comments of our meeting today, I'd like to talk about the water use for the last few days. As many of you know, we have asked the citizens to do a few things, not water on windy days, only choose even odd days to water, depending on what your address is. Odd, water Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and even numbers, water only on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and really 2 times if you can do it. And so I want to show folks what's happened since we asked people to do that. Oh, it's right here in front of me. The last 4 days have seen, well, actually the last 7 days have seen a great improvement. Even on the 4th of July, we had 64 million gallons used. Our goal, as you might remember, is 74 million gallons a day. So we've seen an improvement, a vast improvement since the 28th. I believe we had the news conference on the 29th. Is that when we had that news conference?
Yes, Mayor.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to let the public see that and to thank the public for trying to conserve our water and for using water effectively and for following the guidelines as we put forward. Also, you were telling me something interesting about the billing in the workshop.
Yes, Mayor, and I apologize. I left the sheet with the exact numbers in the other room. Might I have a moment?
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure, if I give you a number, it'll be the wrong one.
Do we have any public comment on any of this? Lily, did you want to say something about this? I'll open it up to the commissioners. Okay, great.
Yeah, I have seen some improvements around town. I've seen, as I go to the hospital at 3 in the morning, I see a lot more sprinkler systems running in the middle of the night. I see a lot more sprinkler systems with businesses that are really with broken sprinkler heads that maybe they weren't aware of. But there continue to be groups of people who water during the hottest part of the day, the windiest part of the day. It's very important to reprogram your home sprinkler systems to where you're not being damaged by evaporation and wind. And so I think we can even squeeze a little more out of these numbers. So I would encourage the public to redouble their efforts.
Hey, you know, I've had some people say, well, I don't have a sprinkler system, and so you want me to set my alarm. And really, I think what the suggestion was to use your best judgment and don't water in the middle of the afternoon because it's all evaporating anyway. So water late at night or early in the morning or whatever is appropriate for the system you have.
But there are hose-based systems too that also have timers. The timers cost about $24. They're easy to pick up in any of our local hardware stores. So when people are watering by hoses, really they very easily can water at night as well.
And Jared, do you have those numbers?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. We brought this statistic to you in the work session just as kind of an example of the change, and we've talked about that. We know how different this year is. But if we're talking about gallons and to talk about dollars instead, in the month of June, the collective water bills that the city billed out was $5.868 million. So between the residences, the retail, the commercial, the industrial, and the heavy industry, we billed out $5.868 million worth of water. To contrast that with June of 2010, June of 2010, we billed $3.61 million. So give you an example of just the scale of the difference there.
And is there any, what have you seen in terms of people reporting water wasters? What's going on there?
People have taken to that very well. People are helping us find folks that maybe we can go and visit with and see if we can help them come up with ideas to be a little more efficient. Both the email address that was established and the telephone number have been very successful. A lot of folks are calling in. I'm getting calls coming in on my direct line. We've had offers of video evidence and folks that would drive around and take pictures for us. And, you know, we appreciate it. If they'll call and tell us, we will do our best to get one of the customer service representatives out to those places as quick as we can. I think most of the calls that I took were probably more related to retail establishments.
Well, and I really want to compliment the city on what you've done with the website, because if you go to amarillo.gov and you haven't looked at it yet, the what's it called?
Every drop counts.
Yeah, every drop counts down on the left-hand side is really a good website, and I go there almost every day to see how much water we've used the day before and the previous day. So anyway, it's a good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the public comment section. Would you like to come forward? And please state your name and your address. And if you can, as always, try to keep your comments to under 3 minutes.
Kathy Altman, 2105 South Lipscomb. How are the citizens being notified? I didn't know anything about this Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever schedule. How are you notifying people?
Well, we had a news conference, and it was in the newspaper and on television stations, on news stations. And we also suggested on the website, and we've tried to get the word out every way we can. I have said it's difficult to get 200,000 people to know something all at once, but we're doing the best we can in terms of a marketing campaign and a media blitz. Okay. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you know.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to say, too, thank you to the city for your part in last night's festivities out there at Johnstead Park. I think it was very effective, and I think all the citizens and the other people who got to come appreciated what they put on and the symphony playing and everything that was available there. We waited around till a little later so we'd avoid some of the traffic, and we were overwhelmed by the amount of trash that was left behind. It was astounding. And I know that your city crews must have spent a long time today picking up, and it just amazes me how much, I know y'all can't probably do anything about it, but the amount of trash that was left behind by people, unbelievable. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Yeah, my name is Jack Judd. I'm Jack and Son Family Taxi, and we've already given some books. I didn't know if you need any more books or not. Do you have enough? Okay, great. Anyway, there's an ordinance in the taxi that...
What's your address, sir? I'm sorry.
5400 Keystone Drive, Amarillo, Texas. I've been here for 23 years. Been in business for 33 years. This is our 34th year. Well, we have a free ride program. We've had it for years. And there's a deal in the city ordinance that states that we are not allowed to give anyone, other than for training purposes, a free ride. But we've been giving the elderly, handicapped, indigent, battered women, children, for many years, free rides as needed. Mostly at the last day of the month when it's really needed. From 8 to 5, we've had a free ride program for years. Well, they tell us now, the police department was real nice, but because there have been some complaints, because we've been getting free rides from other people, and so I'm not going to quote, but it's disrespectful, that at this moment, they'll show you that on paragraph K, page 10 of the taxi ordinance, that it states that we, unauthorized passengers, drivers of a taxi cab, shall not be allowed to give anyone, a non-paying customer, a free ride. Which in our business, first of all, We're in the taxi business for customers and for patients and for passengers. Secondly, every year we've always given free rides on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day to try to help the community and to help the accident ratio to keep down. This last year we gave away 219 free rides for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, without question, because we've always given. And when this was brought up, they said that we have to put our programs on hold until you folks can go ahead and vote, if at all possible, to delete this paragraph from our deal so that we can continue our program. So for the last 2 weeks, we've had to put our program on hold since the 23rd. So we're kind of asking the city council and stuff to see if we can get this deleted so that I can reinstate my program so that I can continue to help the community as we have. My wife and I, we've given free rides. A lot of times we have to have 2 vehicles, so we take 2 of our cabs out of our fleet and do this. We don't ask our drivers to do it because they have to pay a lease. And it wouldn't be fair to them to take money out of their pockets. So that's why we've been doing it for a long time. So we're just asking you and praying that you can see your way to getting this deleted so that we can go ahead and do our program.
Yeah, I just was wondering from maybe the city attorney and the city manager what the logic was behind that policy from the outset.
From what they told me, that law had been so many years ago that they're assuming, or at least this is what the police department said, they're assuming that this particular law may have never been deleted just by accident on this particular part of the ordinance. But go ahead. That's what they told the police department. They said, well, go ahead and do your petition, do everything you need, because at this time they said they're not even sure why it's still there. They figured it might have just got missed.
Mr. Atkinson, how often do we review this, the taxi policy that he's talking about?
Mayor, this part of the taxi cab ordinance that he's referring to, I'm not aware of it being considered in quite some time.
That's what the police department said. They said probably 30 to 40 years. They said they couldn't be exact, but the last time they remember anything brought up was about 30 plus years ago.
Typically what you will see brought before you every 2 to 3 years is the portion that affects the rates. The
Right.
rates are under this body's control.
You're totally correct, sir. And that's what they said. They said they're just shocked. Basically, like they said maybe other companies should just give and not complain. Because we take our money and our time. We don't ask for anything in return. So they're not losing. If the people don't have the money, they can't pay the other cab companies anyway. So it's not a loss to the other cab companies, really. Just because they might think it is, it's not. If they're already broke, they're broke.
Well, thank you. We'll take your comments under advisement.
Thank you. Do you know when we might be able to get an answer, possibly?
I don't know.
Because I've got probably 24 people this month that was already scheduled. We had to put on hold because they schedule usually a month in advance to 72 hours.
I think our issue here is there's going to be other interested parties in the community who are going to want to talk about this, and therefore it has to be placed on an agenda, and we have to notify the public with 3 days advance notice in order to really be able to discuss policy. That's current policy in the city of Amarillo. So we can certainly, under advisement of city manager and the city attorney, decide if we want to put that on a future agenda when you'll be invited back if you want to talk about it again.
So we have to keep the program shut down until you can give us an answer then?
As it stands right now, we cannot take any kind of legal action on this until it's been put before the public in a standard fashion.
Okay, you got 406 signatures. Would that help?
Okay, Mr. Judd, the way an ordinance works, it has to only be amended by an ordinance. The commission can't do it on the basis of a petition or on the basis of, yes, you're right, and they agree with you. And I don't know that we're hearing any disagreement whatsoever. It's a legal process that has to be followed. There has to be a proposed ordinance that amends this one, and it could be as simple as take out paragraph B12, whichever one it happens to be. That has to go on a posted agenda for discussion. They have to take action on it. They have to take action on it again the following week. It has to be done twice.
Okay.
And then and only then can it go into effect. So what I would ask is that you give this body a moment to stop and to look at it and see if we can get something put together.
Not a problem. We're sure praying for you. And so I guess I'll see you next Tuesday.
You're welcome to see us next Tuesday. I can't tell you that you're going to get your answer next Tuesday.
Well, we're just praying. We got a lot of people that's really in need of this.
Understand. And it does seem to be an unintended consequence.
Right.
But we'll definitely, subject to the mayor's instruction, look into that.
Well, may God bless you, because I was just trying to get an answer so we can continue.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Jenkins, 3621 South Long Street. I just want to add my 2 cents of contribution to this water conservation efforts to Every Drop Counts. I think that you're doing great. I think it's great graphs that you provided and these numbers that you provided, great awareness. Of course, everybody's well aware of what's going on. And I just would like to say that on a small note, as a simple solution, maybe possibly, I was walking in and I saw ferns and evergreens, and I was in Powder Canyon last weekend, and I wasn't exactly thriving, but those cactus were thriving, and those yucca plants. And I propose that we utilize native growth that has adapted to our environment, such as these plants, and set the example, of course. I know it's a minuscule of effort, but it's to permeate your influence across the city. And whenever people come in and pay their city water bill, see yucca.
When you drive out on Buchanan Street, look to your right, and there's a xeriscape example out there that the city put in. How long ago was that?
I think we did that in 2006, the first year of the Every Drop Counts program.
Okay, so I've looked at that, and it's certainly right as you walk up the steps, that's not all xeriscape, but there is one example of xeriscape, and I'm proud of that one.
That's a prime example. I think that's wonderful. I would like to redouble our efforts in xeriscapes.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Well, appreciate you being here, and I'll adjourn this meeting. Did I get to do this? Cool. Okay. Thanks for coming.